Welcome to Career Insights. The Career Insight series features local industry professionals engaged in conversation with students and recent graduates about career planning and job opportunities in Polk County, Florida.
Welcome to Career Insights. This segment is focused on career pathways in law enforcement. We are pleased today to have with us Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. And joining Sheriff Judd for today's conversation are two graduates from the Bartow Academy for Criminal Justice. Bobby Towns currently serves as a deputy sheriff for Polk County Sheriff's Office. Jason Morris is joining us, and he just graduated from high school just this year, 2020. Jason is currently enrolling in Polk State College Criminal Justice Program.
So what exactly is a day in the life of Sheriff Grady Judd?
Well, it depends on the day. Now, let's go back to pre-COVID, okay?
Okay.
Pre-COVID, let's have a snapshot of a week. It's not unusual for the sheriff to go weeks or months without a complete day off. See, this is not a job, it's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
So in a 7-day span, you can plan that I would start out probably speaking at a church on Sunday morning. I usually have Sunday afternoon off if there's no great emergencies. Monday morning starts with staff meetings. Monday afternoon starts with business meetings inside and out of the organization. Nights, 3 to 5 nights a week, I would be out at a community event where I would be speaking, or I would be helping charitable causes fundraise for their event. And that's the normal. That doesn't count the vast emergencies that may pop up in the middle of that, which cause you to interrupt that schedule. But that goes on day in and day out. So it's not unusual in non-COVID times for me to go weeks and sometimes months without a complete day off.
Well, when you were so young, you were getting promoted pretty quickly, and you listed a lot of challenges for you when you were growing up. Do you have any other challenges that you might have had to overcome coming all the way from, a deputy all the way to a captain in that short amount of time?
Well, the difficult part was I was young. I was very young. Even by the standards of those days, I was young. But the difference was that I went to college early on. So I was competing against people, most of which had never been to college. Most of them only had their high school education, and some of them only had a GED, didn't really finish high school. So I was challenged by everyone being older than me. I was the kid. I was the absolute kid, and they were jealous of me and didn't like the fact that I was zooming up the chain of command and leaving them behind. Well, that was really their fault, because I found out hard work and focus and never taking no as the final answer, you can overcome any obstacle in life. And that was the main obstacle, was my youth and people jealous that I was getting jobs that they wanted.
Did you have any important people that you were able to lean on, though? Because it seems like there was a lot of hostility afforded to you at that moment. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of support for you.
Now, there wasn't a lot of support in this business back in the day. And I'll just be honest with you. It was pretty much every man for themselves. And when I say every man for themselves, we didn't have females that worked in law enforcement other than a few detectives that were females that never worked patrol, because back in the day, they wouldn't allow females to work in a uniform in patrol because they thought they would be hurt. Mm-hmm. So we hired some for their specialty, but they did not work across the board. In fact, the first female that was ever assigned to a patrol function was assigned to work for me when I was a sergeant. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I went to the captain and I said, why in the world would you send the very first female patrol deputy to work for me? Because I knew it was going to be a lightning rod. And he said, well, Grady, he said, the answer is simple. I want her to have the opportunity to be successful and be treated fair. And I know that you'll give her the opportunity and you'll treat her fairly and make sure that she gets the opportunity to be successful. I still remember her name to this day, Sheila Costigan, and she was an outstanding deputy. And it woke us all up to how valuable it was to have deputies that were female working patrol. She was the one who broke the glass ceiling, and I was proud to be the supervisor that was there with her when she broke the glass ceiling.
So with you being a sheriff ever since I was 5 years old, what do you think was an important component to you keeping your office so long?
Well, I think it's a real simple answer, and that's customer service. It's treat people like you'd want to be treated. You make sure that you're honest, ethical, and moral, that you operate with a sense of urgency, and that you practice customer service, and that you request that of all the men and women that work with you and for you. And I think my success is directly attributable to the professionalism of the men and women of the sheriff's office. They are simply the very best. They get it. They understand that you've got to be honest, ethical, and moral. They understand that you have to deliver customer service with a sense of urgency. They understand that our customers don't want to be customers. No one wants to be a victim of a crime. No one wants to get a speeding ticket. No one wants to be a witness and think, oh my goodness, how much will I have to take off of work for this? And certainly no one wants to be a suspect. So we have to work harder and make sure that we do everything we can to respect everyone we deal with, whether that's a victim or whether that's a suspect. And I tell folks, if you want to be successful in our organization, simply treat people the way you'd want your mother treated. How would you want your mother treated if she were stopped for speeding? How would you want the officer or the deputy to talk to her? How would you want your mother's case investigated if she came out of a local store, someone drug her down trying to steal her pocketbook, skin her all up, and robbed her of her personal belongings? How much energy and enthusiasm would you want those detectives and deputies to operate in order to find out who did that? And if you treat people that way, then you will be successful. And quite frankly, my success at the sheriff's office has been because our deputies and our support staff have operated just that way.
And can you go more into that with how your structure works as far as your deputy sheriff and your regular deputies? Like, how does your ranking system work, and what do they specifically control?
Sure. When you come to work with our organization, the miracle is when you say, hey, would you like to work for the sheriff's office? Some people go, yeah, I'd like to be in law enforcement. Others say, no, I don't want to be a deputy. Well, the reality is there's a lot more to the sheriff's office than being a deputy. When you look at our organizational chart, my sheriff's advisory council is volunteers. My chief of staff obviously is a deputy, but my office of communications, public information, crime prevention, chaplaincy, legal affairs, office of professional compliance, none of those folks are sworn deputies. I hire doctors and lawyers. We have the Office of Business Affairs that's a civilian. So when I became the sheriff, understand the last job that I had was administration, which I renamed to the Office of Business Affairs. I worked 5 years as the chief over law enforcement, and the last 5 years as the chief of administration. But I was sworn. I wanted the civilians to be able to be in the very top of our organization, because up to the time I was sheriff, even though we'd made a lot of progress over the years, females couldn't come to the top of the organization. So that's what we did. We changed the infrastructure there so that my Office of Business Affairs, the female that's in charge is a CPA and has her master's degree and has gone to CPM. So at the end of the day, our goal is to have an infrastructure that is inclusive of everyone. regardless of your race, your sex, your gender. And by doing that, it's made us a stronger organization.
Your structure, if I was just an entry-level employee, whether it be administrative or law enforcement, what would you pay them?
It depends on the job that you have. I think
Okay.
our deputies start at about $48,000 a year, but I pay my veterinarian probably $110,000 or $120,000 a year. So it depends on where you start as an entry-level position. I hire veterinarians for our animal control clinic. I hire through contract doctors and nurses, and we pay them significantly more. But it depends on the discipline. For example, I think if you work in our communications, you start about $33,000 or $34,000.
So what kind of internships does your department offer?
We offer internships for whatever high school and or your college curriculum demands. We do is we send you down to HR. You have to fill out an application. We do a background check to make sure that you're capable of interning here. You know, we don't want the next Jack the Ripper or criminal work here working with us. And once that's completed, then we craft that program according to what either your high school or college classes need. So you can spend the hours in an investigative environment or a patrol environment or a support services environment or all of the above.
Well, my next question is for Mr. Bobby. So you've already attended Bartow High School Criminal Justice Academy. So what was it like for you back then?
Joining the academy, the Bartow High School Academy, it was actually just something to put on my schedule. I need another elective, so I was like, that seems a little interesting, which is why I got into it. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it didn't last all 4 years because it didn't get started until my sophomore year.
So what were some aspects of criminal justice that made you love it, aside from picking carpentry or whatever it is at the moment?
Well, it was a lot of hands-on stuff. We got to go out, do a bunch of hands-on training. We got to look at dogs. We got to do tours of facilities and stuff like that. Even did ride-alongs. You know, it helped me mix in. I was able to join the Explorers program at Sheriff's Office because of it, because I met a bunch of different people that was already in the profession.
And how were you able to join the Explorers program? Can you walk me through that process?
Well, it's at the Sheriff's Office. It's online. It's an application process. And again, they have to do a background check. But it's an enjoyable time. You get to go out and do ride-alongs. You get trained in first aid. You get to experience what they definitely do on a daily basis in his 12-hour shift.
So how much of what you've learned in class actually translated into the sheriff's department?
Pretty much all of it. All the textbooks, all the reading, it transferred very well over into this profession. You may not think that it will, but it absolutely does.
So what additional steps did you take in order to be in the position that you're at now?
Well, unlike the sheriff, I started young as well. Instead of completing high school, all of college, I actually went and got my AA degree, and then I went to the academy. Those are really the only steps that, and I mentally and physically prepared myself to do the job.
What was the academy like for you?
It was a very tough but enjoyable experience, very educational. You learn the bare minimum of the job. Once you get out here, you'll learn a lot more advanced. But it was tough going in, but it was enjoyable. We had a bunch of great people around us and helped us along the way.
So what was your initial experiences as a LEO, law enforcement officer?
The first night out, it was scary because I was sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I'm a cop. I'm carrying a gun. I'm in a patrol car. It's not what it seems like on TV. But as you get into it, you really enjoy it. I wake up every day. I love going to work. I love doing what I do, interacting with people. It's an enjoyable time. I enjoy it very much.
So with that being said, what are some challenges presented to you going out day to day?
Just day to day, I really don't see many challenges going out. Like I said, I wake up every day. I love going to work. As for my girlfriend, she would say that I work too much, but I don't believe that's really a thing. This is not really just a job, it's a career. As the sheriff said, it is definitely a career, and I enjoy every aspect of it. One of the biggest things is having a family support system. If you have someone behind you that supports you, then you're really going to be doing great in this.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. In particular, again, thank you, Sheriff Judd, for sharing your wisdom with us today. In closing, I'd like to also recognize Bobby Towns. You're at the beginning of your career with the Sheriff's Office. We wish you well in your continuing career with them and your educational attainment, your goals for that bachelor's degree at Polk State College. And Jason, we know that you're bound for service in some aspect of the criminal justice system, but you're not quite landed yet. I think many students in high school will resonate with that exploration you're undergoing, and we hope that they will be inspired by your curiosity and your willingness to participate in today's conversation. I want to say you had some great questions prepared for the sheriff.
Absolutely. It's certainly my honor to be the sheriff of Polk County and the servant of the people. And that's what I do. I wake up to try to serve them and make their life better every day. So thank you, and God bless you all. Good luck, Jason.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.